Yeah, that really was I mean, I had a lot of complicated thoughts about things, and I wanted to try to make a funny movie about it.
But a while ago, didn't you start?
I started writing it, yeah, like 3 to 4 years ago, and then we ended up making Francis before, and then, yeah, but it's still all on my mind. Everything that's in there.
The movie's playing in your mind. So I would imagine that you guys each found your own personal connection to the script, and that it was, so I'm wondering if you could just talk about that, the three of you.
Yeah,
your first reading.
Yeah, I mean, I read it and felt very connected to all the issues that my character was going through.
Actually, I remember when I first showed it to you, you said, you read the first 10 pages and you said, I want to play Fletcher.
Yeah, I thought, Adam Horvitz's part was pretty yeah, I mean, it just felt so relevant in terms of just being this age. I literally have had doctor's appointments like that, I mean, in the last few years. And not as funny as you're writing, but, and it's just that thing of just dealing with the reality of getting to a certain age, and being, I'm going to be 49. It's like brings up so much stuff, and I think what this day and age, what we're living in terms of how media has changed and how it's affected the creative process, and all these things that Noah was getting into in the movie, felt very, it wasn't far to reach to connect with it.
Yeah, exactly what Ben said. I felt the first read, it made me laugh. It made me think, oh wow, this is so emblematic of what's going on. Like we always want to be someone else other than ourselves, and we're fascinated with the youth, and the youth are a little fascinated with us, and these two worlds colliding, and it just made me laugh, but also it moved me. I thought it was really, really powerful.
I love your hip hop too. It's pretty up.
That was fun.
Yeah, I just Noah sent it to me, and before I even read it, I was like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever it is. Then I read it, and I actually didn't feel connected to him. No, seriously, I didn't like the things that he, his kind of way of creating things. I don't like, I'm not to get on a something pedestal, but just don't like, I shy away from being so interconnected with people, talking to people. But I mean, it was exciting that he kind of used it in something, in creating something, as opposed to isolating himself. But I mean, Facebook and things being constantly recorded and
yes.
kind of appropriating a lot of things that, like, to me, it's I don't like that so much. So I didn't, and then I was worried that I'm going to be commenting on. I'm talking way too much.
No, you're doing fine.
Most of it.
Commenting too much on how I don't like or scared of Facebook or a phone. But then, just the writing kind of did a lot before.
I just want to ask you about some choices that you made physically. There's I think, a moment in the movie where you're giving Ben a hug and you just that was great. I just sort of wanted to ask you about that and compliment you on it at the same time.
Well, a lot of, when we first met, Noah was very much like, because it is, actually that was, he had this image of water. That was the first thing that we kind of talked about. He moves around the world, but like water, he kind of just floats in and floats out, and then just stealing from a lot of things. Just because he is someone who appropriates things, and a lot of movie references. Then we got to like Eric Romer movies or The Howling, obviously. Get to watch those things and kind of steal the good stuff. But I guess water was the first thing that we talked about.
We talked about my character being fire, right? No, we never talked about any. We never got any elements.
Yeah. But Earth shows up. We had rings, but they cut that.
we had a good time.
Richard Donner directed the Goonies, right?
Yeah, that's actually,
Yeah.
he says that he finds it on IMDb in the scene.
I didn't even look it up. How about that?
Comes to
Let's do some questions. Anyone want to jump in? Yeah.
I noticed that James Murphy made some music. Can you talk about what it was like working with him again for this?
Can you talk about working with James Murphy, who made some music for the film?
Yeah, James and I worked on Greenberg together, and we became very good friends sort of through that. So, and you know, I joked with him in some ways that I was making a movie of his song "Losing My Edge," you know, which is a great LCD Sound System song if you don't know it. But he felt like the right, you know, we bitch and moan about all the same things, and I always relate to his music, even if there are no words in it. I just think the kind of sounds he makes I feel very close to. So he recorded the big piece sort of it's used early in the movie when they're biking away, and then when Ben and Adam face off in the atrium, that whole thing, and then he also does some other little pieces, and there's a piece in the ayahuasca, but James is you know, it's always, I mean, I always want to find an excuse to go to his studio and watch him make music.
So did you guys all really do an ayahuasca event? Preparation?
Wouldn't have written about it.
Right, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Was there a conscientious decision to differentiate Josh from Greenberg in the pre-production of this?
I just want to repeat that to everyone. Was there a decision to differentiate the character that Ben plays here, Josh, from the character that he plays in the previous film you made for Noah Greenberg?
Well, I was sort of banking on the fact that people have seen Ben Stiller in enough movies that they can understand. He plays different characters.
I've got about 3 characters. I got a high voice, I got a low voice.
Yeah. We've done high, and so this time we did low. Yeah. I don't know.
Obviously, generational differences in how we change as we get older are like a big theme in this movie. I just wanted to know what like each of you personally thought about whether we get like better or worse or stay the same.
That's a question from a very young man about generational differences and how everyone feels about, you know, whether you get better or worse or pretty much stay the same. Yeah, where do you? I know that you're dying to start, Naomi. So. Whoever wants to jump in, yeah.
I mean, you get older, I know that.
It's painful.
Yeah, it definitely changes your perspective on life. I mean, I felt like Noah hit on something in the movie, which was this idea that the younger generation now seems much more, and something actually in Greenberg, I think like there's a line where you're like very comfortable, or you're much, right? Isn't that in Greenberg? But you know, there's a comfortability, or like, you know, that Adam's character has, confidence that, I don't know if that's a personal thing or just a generational thing, but I think as you get older, I've found I've taken less for granted in life. And I have a friend who says, like, as you get older, the road gets narrower. And I think you appreciate more. So there's something great about being young and not knowing that, because that gives you the confidence to try things and do things and do things you wouldn't do. So I don't know if that's changed over the years, but I do think this new access to media, to be able to, you know, how people can just make things very, you know, it's much more democratic, as Noah says, you know, it's changed the access and what people have to be at a younger age, because they're putting themselves out there and you know, on all different platforms, and have to declare who they are, and sort of people are making up who they are earlier. And I think back in my day, I just had no idea what I was doing, you know, when I was 24, and if I had Facebook and Twitter, and it would have been a mess anyway. So I think it's changed things in the way that people put themselves out there and maybe made them more confident or something. Are you going to answer that? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you're
For
not
the younger
much
generation?
younger. I mean, you're like younger than I am. But the same age, right? Nothing to contribute.